On this week's episode, I'm joined by Joao Perre Viana. Joao considers himself a citizen of the world. He was born in Portugal, finished high school in the US, and completed his master's in Belgium before a long corporate career that took him to Central Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa. After a long career, Joao decided to start Walking Mentorship, an amazing program that helps people by walking. We discuss, amongst other things, the first time Joao truly experienced the word saudade, where he's worked overseas, why he's so proud of Portugal, Portuguese people, and why Portuguese people care. We talk about his walking mentorship, why he loves so much what he does, how nature is for everyone, his favorite places to walk in Portugal, the diversity of Portugal, and we talk about how Portugal is Disney World for adults. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, go to Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, over to my conversation with Joao. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Joao Perre Viana. Joao, thank you for being on the podcast. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm very well. Wonderful day.
Joao, why don't you start off telling us a little bit about you?
Well, absolutely. So my name is Joao, as you mentioned. I'm 51 years old, and I'm married. I'm a father of 3 boys, wonderful boys, Mateus, Santiago, and Michael. And what can I say? My main hobbies are actually very much related with my daily activity. So I love to walk in nature. And I actually have another hobby. I love to send postcards to family and friends. This is something I love to do. And looking at the feedback, it looks like people actually like to receive physical mail in their mailboxes.
What are some of the things that you appreciate about our country, having experienced so many different places and so many different cultures?
I think my very first experience was as an exchange student, and this experience really changed my life because I went from Portugal, Lisbon to Montana in US, and I started missing home tremendously. And actually, I think for the first time in my life, I understood the meaning of the word saudade, which honestly, I heard about it, obviously. I think I knew about it, but I think I didn't really. So it was maybe 1 or 2 days before Christmas, and I felt so lonely. And actually, I think the word probably depressed would apply. And I went upstairs and I picked up a present that my Portuguese parents offer to my American parents because I was living with an American family. And this present was very unique because at the time there were not many CD-ROMs around. And it was a CD of musics from Zeca Afonso, Fado actually, specific Fado Coimbra, but Fado. And having nothing better to do at 4 o'clock in the morning, I started playing, not very loud, but I started playing this CD. And I think for the first time in my life, I truly listened and understood the words that were being said. And I remember that I cried for an hour or two. I think I washed all my pain. And I have to say that after that day, I think I'm so much more proud of being Portuguese.
Where's your formal work taken you?
Well, from US, actually, I returned to Europe. And I studied in Belgium. So I work and study in Belgium, in Netherlands, in France. And then I went on to a bit far east. So I went to Central Asia. I lived and worked in Kazakhstan. And actually, I had to work a little bit on the other stands, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. And I did a stint in Russia, Ukraine. And then I went back to Europe and then to Africa. So I'm very fortunate, I think, that I had the chance to see how so similar we are as humans, as a species, let's say. And what we have that unites us, it's so strong and actually so clear And it's so much more interesting than what maybe you could say divide us, set us apart. So I would say that I think not only me, because I really feel like that, but I think pretty much everybody, even if they don't know, we are citizens of the world, all of us.
Why do you think we are such good travelers? What do you think
Hmm.
makes a part of our culture?
The moment that you reach the ocean, the Atlantic, especially the Atlantic, and you look at the ocean, I think there are basically two feelings you can have. You look at this endless horizon and you think, what is beyond the horizon? Or you say, this is very frightening and I'm going to turn my back and just go back home. I do think that we have these two types at least in our culture. And I think there are many, many Portuguese that when they look at the ocean, when they look at the line of the horizon, maybe they are inland and they see still this line of the horizon and they think, what is beyond that? And the next answer has to be something like, one day, if I have a chance, I'm going to discover.
Why do you, I mean, what do you think makes Portuguese people good people?
Portuguese people care. And I think this is, let's say, a trace of personality that it's very hard to find genuinely around the world. We do care.
Well, I mean, take us from talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now with your walking mentorship. It sounds really interesting.
Well, thank you. Walking mentorship is the idea is quite simple. So we do mentoring programs while walking in nature. I mean, in a nutshell, that's what we do. The idea came up, I think, when I was probably 18, and after a very, very long walk with a friend, and how I understood that combining these ingredients, you could really create the conditions for deep change in your life, in this case, my own life. And I thought, okay, maybe one day, if I can choose, this is exactly what I want to do with my life. And today, I mean, in the last 8 years, the walking mentorship is a reality that is living outdoors in total freedom. I mean, we do have programs for individuals. So when we take one-on-one, another person on an immersive program, imagine 7-8 days, we have group programs, which is something very colorful and I think very unique because this is pure serendipity. I mean, you have 7-8 people from 7-8 different countries. We come together for 1 week in a different region or different country, and you work on your own self-development in the sense that you can reflect on your current moment, and then you try to align your purpose with your actions. So actually to design an action plan for your life, which usually comes, all together, your professional life and your personal life. And finally, we have as well corporate programs, which is a slightly different breed of programs because we know companies or corporations, they are very peculiar because they want to do a lot of things, but then in the end of the day, they understand they cannot do as much as they want. So we need to have shorter programs. But what really impresses me is that even knowing that a corporate program that can last, imagine minimum 1 day, I mean, and what is 1 day in our life is not much. And then when we reach the end of the day and you see the impact in these people, you think, this is absolutely worth it. So this is what we do. We only do programs in Europe, and today, I mean, fortunately, our organization have more cool mentors working with us through our accreditation program.
What brings you so much joy in this work that you do, Joao?
It's an amazing question. I really think it's the feeling of being part of the solution always. So I don't do anything to diminish anyone. I don't try to grab anything from anyone. None of us in our team. Everything we do is to construct, it's to elevate everything, even if the participant really doesn't want or is boycotting the process, which is okay, because sometimes it's your process and we need to respect and hold the space. What makes it really special is this. I feel that at a very, very tiny scale, it's really like a drop in the ocean, but it is a drop. And it's a constructive drop.
This is a privilege to have this in our country, places where we can just literally, you park your car somewhere.
Yes.
Probably nobody's going to rob it as well, which is a bonus. And just go and walk and get lost. And it's a privilege.
If you really think deeply from a bit far, no one can really claim to own such thing, right? I mean, I know that we need to be a little bit open-minded here, but it's very important to keep it available, especially maybe to people that have less conditions, less possibilities to reach out. So if we make it too exclusive, actually we are leaving a lot of people outside, and that's not a good thing. Fortunately, as you said, there are so many options. It's really just a matter of taking a little of time and then go and discover. Open the door and go.
Some of your favorite places to walk in our beautiful country in Portugal?
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but when we had the whole continents together in Pangaea, when they start, tearing apart, you have a very beautiful route in North America, the Appalachian Trail. I mean, many people know it because it's kind of an epic thing to do. But can you imagine that one small section of the Appalachians, it's in Portugal. Yes. It's in Portugal. And it's not very long. I don't want to mistake, but maybe you are talking about 40, 50 kilometers. And what I found absolutely amazing is that there are many North Americans coming to Portugal to walk that kind of either last section or first section, depending how you see it, of the Appalachian. But actually no Portuguese know about the Appalachian Trail.
So where is it?
Well, as a reference point, you can go direction Castelo Branco, or you can go direction Oleiros. I think this is even better. And then from Oleiros, so we are talking about center of Portugal, you are maybe 20 kilometers away from the beginning of the Appalachian. And this is something that deserves our care, our attention. And actually, it's quite funny because once you get to the top of the mountain, you have a couple of signs of the Appalachian Trail. And one of signs points into the direction 6,000 or 5,000 kilometers from here, okay? And it's true. It is true. And I think Portugal has other precious things, as I mentioned here. There are more because we are so rich, so diverse. One of my favorite hobbies when I was flying a lot, was to look at outside of the window because I always choose a window seat. And I just had the time of my life looking down and identifying the name.
Trying to figure out where you are. Yeah, I like doing that as well.
You realize that in such a tiny country, the level of diversity that you have available. I mean, how can you get bored in Portugal? It's impossible unless you want. But look, in a few hours, you go from mountain to ocean, to lakes, to rivers, to plains, to valleys. I mean, vineyards, you name it. And the other thing is that as you move along all this diversity, it changes the language, it changes the gastronomy, and it changes the weather. So, for me, literally, Portugal is a small Disneyland for grown-ups.
A question, Joao, that we ask all of our guests. Portugal, the simple life, why?
Because it matters. Because it matters.
Okay, I like it. Short and sweet. I'm definitely going to think about you when I go on my morning walk tomorrow and about our conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. I mean, my pleasure. My pleasure, Dylan.
And I'm going to let you call it.
Well, that's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.